So in this video, I'm going to show you how to run a MapReduce job written in Java on Hadoop cluster. So I have a Eclipse project called MapReduce example, and it's a Maven project. So we can create a jar file by running Maven clean package. So I have the app.java, which is going to make use of what's called as the mapper and reducer over here. So let's not go to the details of this particular class, but as how I can run this over Hadoop cluster. Now the data for the same is available on my desktop. So if I go to desktop, there is a file called input.csv. So this is the sample file. If I can open that in TextEdit. So you can see that it's a comma separated values or a CSV file. First of all, we need this CSV file in our Hadoop cluster. So to upload this, we go to localhost 8080, that brings up Ambari. And in Ambari, we go to the files view, and that shows me the HDFS, DFS, or HDFS file system. And this is my home directory user / Maria dev on HDFS, not on the local or not on the VM, but on the HDFS. So I'm going to create a folder, couple of folders, one for input. So I'm going to call it as input, another folder called output. And inside the input, I'm going to upload the CSV file, which is right here, input.csv. Maybe I would like to rename this as probably data.csv. So I do have input / data.csv, and the output is a brand new folder currently empty. And we want to run the job written in Java such that it's going to consume that file as a first argument. So this is the first argument to my application. So that file will be processed and an output file will be kept on specific folder that I would like to mention. So the challenge here is that this Eclipse is on my host operating system, but I have a Virtualbox VM running, and I have to make the jar file generated on my host operating system available to this Hortonworks Sandbox HDP VM. Unfortunately, I tried a couple of methods where I used different kinds of network, NAT, bridged, etc. None of them seem to work. I'm not able to access this file manager. I'm not able to connect to that VM for some reason. I don't know why. So for example, I have this Maria_dev, Maria_dev. That's the username password. That's a create session. I'm not able to do that. I have the root and Hadoop. I say create session. None of them seem to work. So the other way that I can do now is, first of all, let me run the package. So I'm going to run this project as a Maven build and clean. It's going to clean the target folder, and then package will create the jar file. So when I click on run, it's going to create a file called mrexample.jar, but that's going to be in my local or host operating system. So I can SSH to the VM by going to localhost 4200, and the username is Maria_dev. Password is also same. And here is my work folder, contains the example. Let me just remove that, mrexample.jar. So I don't have any files right now over here. Now this is the VM, not the HDFS file system, but it's the Ubuntu machine. So from my host operating system, I have to access that mrexample.jar, and I ran out of ways to do that. So the way that I'm now going to do is to use what's called live server. I can use a node package manager or npm install live server, or I can use VS Code and start and stop that. So using VS Code, it's going to be much simpler. I have to use Visual Studio Code and make sure that the extension called live server is installed. You can see that in my case, it's already installed. Don't have to do anything. And the location is not this. I need to switch the location. So I'm going to close the folder and open the folder which is on my desktop, Sandbox projects, and I have this map reduce examples. So we know that the content is there in the target mrexample.jar. All I have to do is to click on this go live button, and that's going to bring up the live server, which exposes the current content as a web server content. So I have here localhost 5500, and I have the target, and I have this MR example. Now, since this is accessible on the internet locally, I can go over here and then do a wget on the same thing. To understand or to connect to the local machine or the host operating system, I have to get the IP address of the host operating system, which I can get from here, network preferences, TCP IP. You can see that it is 192.168.1.23. So if you don't see that, when you open the preferences, you will see that I've connected to this Wi-Fi, and then advanced under TCP IP, I'll see that 192.168.1.23. So first, let's see if I can ping to that. So I'll say ping 192.168.1.23, and you can see ping is not a problem. And now all I have to do is to just run the wget command and then type here 192.168.1.23 colon 5500. That will connect to this. And inside that, I have the target folder. So I have to say /target /mr-example.jar. That is the file that I want to get from the network. So now I have transferred that file successfully. So if you see that if I type ls-l, I see that mr-example.jar. Now all I have to do is to submit this to the Hadoop file system, to our Hadoop YARN, to run the job, which can access the content from input/data.csv. So I'll have to go over here. The command is Hadoop, so Hadoop jar. And if I press enter, you can see it says that you need to give the jar file followed by the main class. So if I type here Hadoop jar, mr examples, example.jar, and the main class in that happens to be our app.java coming from core.vinod package. So if I go here, core.vinod.app, I press enter, I get an error because this error is coming from my code. You can see that it says that if arg's length is less than or equal to 2, it says usage is so and so. So I need to supply an input and output. Now this input output is relative to the home directory of your HDFS DFS. You can use the absolute path, but if you use a relative path, it's going to be from the home directory of MariaDev. So if I go here now, type this same command with input/data.csv and then output. The output folder, if it is already containing some files, it's going to be erased. And that's because of my code. If you look at that at the bottom, I've basically deleted the file over here, delete output files if already exist. And I just have to press enter and a job is going to be submitted now. So currently the map job is done as well as the reducer job is also done. And you can see the map input records 1135 records. Output is 920 primarily because some of them may have some invalid characters. So that could be the reason, or invalid format. Anyway, the number of output is so and so 28,074. So I have a single cluster. So I have a single node cluster. So the number of jobs is only one. I didn't mention the number of jobs as well. So I can go over here now to my sandbox output. Output was a brand new folder. You can see that it is created, and the result is over here, which is giving the highest magnitude of earthquake based on the region. So that's how you can do. You can also verify the jobs that is executed. You can go to Yarn, and then under the quick links, you have to select the resource manager UI, and that actually uses the kind of a named location, but it's supposed to be localhost. And then you can see that the applications, there were 3 applications actually. The latest one ran is this one. So 11:45, which is almost just a minute back. So this is the one that executed successfully. You can go and do more in-depth analysis of the same thing. So that's all for this video. Have a nice day.